Hello, how's it going? This is the first book in your geometry course. Uh, Geometry is used in a lot of different fields. Architects, engineers, artists, interior decorators, designers, draftsmen are just a few people who use geometry in their field. Um, there are two types of geometry. One is called plane geometry, and the other is called solid geometry. The figures you see here are figures in solid geometry, and solid figures in solid geometry have three measurements: length, width, and height. But figures in plane geometry only have two measurements, which is length and width. Plane geometry is geometry that covers shapes that have only a surface and that do not have depth. In other words, they don't look 3D. For example, a simple square would be a figure in plane geometry. A simple triangle would be a figure in plane geometry. A line would be a figure in plane geometry. Just a simple circle would be a figure in plane geometry. Um, Before I go on, I want to tell you about the insert in the book. Make sure that as you do the book, you fill in the blanks in that insert. You're going to have to fill in definitions, postulates, theorems, and what the different symbols that you'll be using in geometry mean. These inserts are very important. Please don't throw them away. Make sure that you save them because you're going to be using all of them throughout the course. They're crucial for you to be able to pass your test. Knowing the information in these inserts is very important, or else you won't be able to pass the test. So please keep those and do not throw them away. Keep them in a notebook. The word geometry comes from two Greek words put together: geo, which means earth, and metria, which means measurement. Um, these words put together equal or make the English word geometry. So what is the origin of the word geometry? The origin is Greek, and it's two words meaning earth and measurement. Our objective in studying geometry, or our objectives in studying geometry are to discover facts, and to prove um, our facts true. So we're going to be discovering facts and also proving that our discoveries are true and reliable. Okay, these are also known as proof. I explained earlier the two types of geometry: plane geometry and solid geometry. In this book, we're mainly going to be looking at plane geometry. Plane geometry deals with figures lying in a flat surface called a plane. That's why it's called plane geometry. Plane figures have two dimensions, which are length and width. Solid figures have an additional dimension of height. Blank geometry is concerned with figures whose surfaces do not all lie in the same plane. That's solid geometry. Because if you look at these figures, they're not flat figures. They're not lying on the same plane. These figures are solid, so you need a third dimension to really... They're drawing them here, but they're supposed to be solid figures. That's why they put the little cloud here, to show you that these figures have depth. They're solid. They're not flat. And so solid geometry is concerned with figures whose surfaces do not lie on the same plane. Uh, the front of this ball or the cylinder here, of the sphere here, is not on the same plane as the back of the sphere. The back of the sphere is on another plane. It's not flat. That's the best way I can explain it to you. If you need more explanation, come talk to me in class, and I'll give you some more information about the difference between solid geometry and plane geometry. Here what they want you to do is that they want you to write a P or S to indicate whether each of the following is a plane or a solid. A circle is a plane. A sphere is a solid because it has depth. A cone is a solid because it has depth. You know the cones that they use to mark traffic or to show that there's construction, that shows depth. A circle doesn't have depth, so it's a plain figure. A sphere is like a globe. It has depth. You can't draw a globe on a piece of paper because it has depth. So that's also a solid. A cone's a solid. A rectangle is a plane. A square is a plane. A cylinder is a solid because that also has depth. An angle is a plane because it's just an angle. A pyramid is a solid because you need depth to be able to create a pyramid. You can't really draw a pyramid on paper. You can draw it, but it's just a representation of the pyramid. It's not really the pyramid. It's not a solid figure. It's a picture of a solid figure. A triangle is a plane because I can draw that on paper and it's a triangle. It's an accurate representation of the figure. Okay, here they want you to tell them how many surfaces the figure has. Well, this one's pretty obvious. You have one here, that's 2, and then the back of the triangle, that's 3, or pyramid, or whatever you want to call it. That's 1, 2, the back is 3, the top is 4, and the bottom is 5. So A equals 5. This one only has 1. See, this is plane. It only has 1 surface. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 surfaces. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 surfaces.